This is another Disney podcast production.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Plan for the Magic. So glad you're back. This is episode 7. And this, of course, is the podcast that I'm Audrey, my co-host Dave. We talk about planning trips to Walt Disney World. And hopefully, if you're a planner or you like to wing your trips a little bit, there's something in this podcast for you to make your next trip even more magical. Dave and I, our families have just been to Orlando to Walt Disney World, and we haven't seen each other since. How are you? It's so good to see you.
So well. Lots of fun in the sun. It was fantastic. So we missed each other by mere hours.
Literally hours.
Yeah. You left the day we arrived.
That's right. Yes.
And did you guys drive?
We did. This was the first time we drove, and I actually loved it. How
many miles was it? Do you remember? Because I have a sign that nobody can see that I'm pointing to over here that says Disney World, 790 miles.
It's more than that for us, I think. I should look it up on MapQuest real quick. Oh my gosh, did I just say MapQuest?
Did you just say MapQuest? Everyone, welcome. Yes.
Oh my
this should be
look, I'm like embarrassed. Yeah.
MapQuest.
I've been watching Loki, so I'm like transported back in time.
Oh.
Hey, I just made it relevant. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I haven't seen an episode yet.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's not discuss that. We have a lot.
Okay.
Can we talk about, here's the situation. We're going to talk a little bit about each of our trips, and then whatever doesn't fit in this episode, we will just record more, because there's a lot. There's a lot in my brain. I'm so excited. This was the first time we've been back since November of 2019.
Whoa.
I know. It's just the best thing in the whole world. So, but our trip has a big giant asterisk. How about that? Asterisk.
I'm glad you pronounced every letter in that, because sometimes.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I was careful there. We did not go to any of the 4 parks.
I'm sorry, what?
Mm-hmm. So we went to Walt Disney World, and we...
Nope. No, you didn't.
Yeah, we did. We did. We stayed on property.
That's a shocker for anybody who's listening to this show. Sorry, go ahead.
We actually did our first split stay. So we stayed in 2 resorts on property during this visit. We'd been actually, my husband and I had been talking since the fall, really, about trying to do something, a surprise, fun, easy something for the kids right when school was out. We have our big regular trip this fall where we'll obviously do the parks, and we were looking at the numbers and we thought we could do a beach house. I'm like, why would we do that when we could go to Disney World and stay in a resort and swim in the pool, and they have all these things? And I kind of wanted to test the theory, actually. Like, could you go spend 4 days? Y'all, he's not even letting me get
as someone who just got back from staying in a beach house, I cannot recommend it more. Please continue.
And where was your beach house? Within driving distance to what?
Disney World.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. It's the draw. We can't, I
know it is what it is.
We can't not do it. So, so I really wanted to test, like, are there enough things that you could do without going to the 4 major theme parks? Now, we did go to Blizzard Beach for a day.
Oh, I've never been there.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. It was truly so fun. I have some thoughts about that. But there was more than we could do. I was surprised. And day 1.5, my oldest kid was like, can we do one of these before, where we just like totally downshift into a super low gear? So I know our families are so different.
No. I mean, our kids love that too. It's just Dad doesn't.
Yeah. That's right.
Oops.
Well, I mean, the huge caveat to this is that this was an extra trip with another trip in mind. This could not, I don't think, replace what we know we will have this fall. And I think that that's sort of why we could kind of sneak something like this in there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we did. And then, Dave, you can share a little bit about your trip too. Because I
maybe, or we'll have to split it into 2 episodes. Who knows? That's true. We'll figure it out.
Well, let's see how it goes, and we will try not to keep you for too long.
Yeah. So jump in. When did you leave? Where did you stay? How did you get there? Go.
We hold on 1 second. I'm pausing this. I can't tell if this audio is recording. Okay, that one is. I don't think that first bit was.
Which is fine. Nothing weird happened.
Okay, great. All right. So we drove down. We actually spent a night on the road, got up pretty early, and were at our resort by like 11:30 on a Sunday. And we stayed at the Coronado Springs Resort, just in a regular room. We did get pixie dusted up to a water view room, which was really great. That was unexpected.
Okay. Pause. What does that mean?
We got something extra that we didn't ask for
or pay for.
Or pay for.
There you go. Okay. I just wanted to not everybody may know what that means.
Yes. We did not spend money on a water view room, which costs extra when you book. Good point of clarification.
Nice.
Yeah. So, okay. Dang it. I meant to ask you this before we recorded. Pause, sidebar. Can I talk about our friends who helped us plan our trip, or probably not?
I mean, it's up to you.
I just didn't know what the rules are with the other travel agent.
None. I would just mention that hey, we have great friends that before we can cause this all remember Fly Mickey Travel is new. We have great friends who are travel planners before we connected with just say Fly Mickey Travel. That's fine. Totally fine. I could care less. Okay. He's paying us nothing.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. So that is what pixie dusted means. And, I will say that we are dear friends with some certified, Disney, what are they called? Official Disney vacation planners. Oh my gosh. Sure. And we have worked with them for a long time. They are, dear friends of ours, and they helped us plan this trip. And I know that they actually write a note specifically to the general manager of the resorts where their clients are staying. So I think some of the pixie dust might have been a direct result of their note to the general manager.
Hey, who cares?
We'll take it. Yeah. So we got there, we hit the pool immediately, which you can do. You can arrive well before your room is ready. You have access to the grounds. You have access to, if you were going to to a park, of course you can go before you check in. And so we were relaxing by the pool. And then just as we said, when we went through the months of what to look out for when you visit Walt Disney World in the summer are the afternoon thunderstorms. So we were in a slight pickle because it is pouring down rain. We are in swimsuits and we do not have a room ready. So we zipped around to the front desk and they hustled and got us in a room. It was really, it was great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, so we were able to get there and get dried off. We actually had dinner reservations that night at Chef Mickey's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we drove. So this is the first time we have had a car. We usually always fly in. We always do Magical Express. And it was a huge help, of course, when you have reservations for dinner at another resort, you can just give your name to the guy at the gate or the gal at the gate and park. It was really helpful. That was so much easier. I think I was just I've been doing it so long without a car. I was super geared up for the transportation from one place to another being challenging. And you are a smart cookie over there, Dave, with your always having a car, because there were a number of times where that was proving to be a huge help, and this is one of them.
Really, it just depends, right? Because now I'm going to completely throw you for a loop here. So yes, that is my preferred way every time now. I just like the freedom, mostly because Disney transportation to me eats into my short, quick trips, right? It's just right?
You don't have
But
margin.
I've
Totally, I
always
get it.
loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the best perk that they offer, in my opinion.
Right.
Like, you don't have to worry about renting a right now $700 minivan for you and your family for a week.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane right now after the pandemic and them trying to make up money. But I will say this, I'm gonna throw you for a loop. So we're for the 50th, we're currently booked at All Star Movies.
Yeah.
Brandon and his wife are at Pop. Well, we all know
Yep.
that Pop is a Skyliner resort, and so
Yeah.
I am calling at least twice a week trying to get over to Pop so we don't have to rent a car. Now, it's not because I don't want one, but Brandon and his wife will be staying there. They're locals and have a vehicle. Plus, we all know that with Pop, you got quick, easier access to parks and don't have to wait for a bus or a boat. So
that's totally true.
But yeah, so that's what we're doing. But they'd have their car and we'll probably always drive. But if we're going to Hollywood Studios that day, we can just hop on the
Skyliner.
So yeah,
so true.
I still find great value in it.
Yeah. Well, good. In this case, it really was helpful to have a car. Chef Mickey's was awesome. So here's one thing to think about right now with character dining that I did not think about ahead of time. So right now, we know that characters walk past your table. You can take pictures of them. They're not coming up to your table and they're not, hugging your kids. So a lot of people are taking selfies. Well, what ended up happening for us is our boys wanted to sit with their faces, right? They wanted to face the area behind where my husband and I were sitting. So the characters were behind us, which meant he and I had selfies with the characters, but there was no way for us to take pictures with our kids and the characters unless our children got up and put their backs to the characters. Does that make sense?
Yes, they wanted to see the characters.
They wanted to see the characters. So I have
Which is hard. That's hard to explain to kiddos, right?
Yeah. And we were not going to have them up and about because, it was hard enough to explain, like, it's not like normal times where you can go hug Mickey. So just have a seat and they will, dance around. And it was great. The characters were great. They were incredibly engaging. And Mickey was like flipping, pretending like he was cooking for us. But the pictures afterwards, it's just not, it's not a typical thing that I was thinking of. So that's the one thing on the character meals to keep in mind. So that was sort of our first day. The second day was our big Blizzard Beach day. We were on the fence about doing this. I had a little bit of extra on the budget. So we ended up, it was about $75. We rented a umbrella that came with 2 lounge chairs, 2 like regular chairs, and a table. I was kind of on the fence about this. I thought with COVID, it just might be nice to have kind of our own space. And I knew we would be there the whole day since we weren't going. This was not like a swing in there while we're going to some other place. This was it for us. It ended up being amazing. It was totally worth it for us. You also got, I don't even think I realized this when we booked it, but you got a set of towels. We're DVC, so we would have gotten towels for free anyway, but you can either bring your own or you can rent them. They don't come complimentary at the water parks.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they did with this. But honestly, my favorite part was the little, it wasn't even a real gate. It was just like the door to the beach area that had the private umbrellas was right across from the lazy river. So anytime we wanted to go anywhere, we just left and floated to our next destination.
We lazied.
We lazied. It was so great. So that was the one. There are 2 things. The second thing that was surprisingly delightful is Goofy was there. I had no idea the characters came to the water parks. Did you know this?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they treat it like, okay, so if you look at a Disney World as they have 6 gates, right?
Right.
And so to me, if you're going to charge what was it, $80 a day, something like that. It's pretty close to that, right?
Yeah.
70 something bucks a day. I mean, a few years ago, that was getting into Magic Kingdom. So yeah, I knew, but I mean, it's not like the kind of characters you're going to get at one of the, 4 staple parks. But yeah, I knew they were there.
Yeah.
And Goofy's my favorite, so I was a little jealous when I saw your picture.
Oh my gosh, he was hilarious. He hung out and waved and played with the folks that were going by on the lazy river for a long time. He had his little swim trunks on. It was so cute. He was great. And that was our first entree into mobile ordering for lunch, and it was that is the greatest thing.
It's the best thing ever.
Oh my gosh. It was so, and like my kids eat 4 things. So I knew what we were eating when we got there. So like at 10 o'clock, I just pulled up the menu, popped up when, whatever we were ordering. It was so terrific.
Selected the time. And
yes.
Boom. Yep.
My gosh, we love
I'm
that.
here. Start preparing my order.
Yep. Yeah. We did run into our first weather transportation issue that evening. So Blizzard Beach closed at 6. So we got back to the room, kind of regrouped a minute, and then we thought, well, let's go park at Hollywood Studios and ride the Skyliner. And that was great, except we got from Hollywood Studios to Caribbean Beach, and then it all shut down because our lovely summer weather decided to show back up again. So we ended up eating at a Caribbean Beach. It was fine. I had some really, really great, like super spicy fish tacos. My gosh, they were great. Wow.
Did you just eat it like their quick service on property? Is that what
yeah, we did. Okay. And we sat outside. They had these tables that were like on the patio on the water, and we kind of braved the weather, which was like fun. And then for about like 3 or 4 minutes was a little more precarious than I was really, and I've got I was like, isn't this fun? And it's like lightning right there. But we got through it, and then it was great. But it reminded me, we ended up having to take a lift from there back to Hollywood Studios because the Skyliners did not turn back on or start back up.
Question. Yeah. Why that versus a bus?
So I think we went to get the bus first, and so there are properties that have limited bus service to the same resorts where there is a Skyliner. And so I'm not telling you this is not like what is true right now, but I know in the past, for instance, a property like Caribbean Beach that has Skyliner access to Epcot and Hollywood will run buses much more quickly to Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom. So they'll have those buses coming much more frequently. And the buses that are running to Epcot and Hollywood are much less frequent. What happened for us with the storm is that we couldn't find out how fast they were going to get the buses up and running to Hollywood and to Epcot. So when we went to the bus stop, they have those like television screens now with like estimated times of arrival. That if they were starting to increase the frequency of buses to those, it wasn't being reflected there. And we were just running late. It was late into the evening at that point. We had spent all day and we're like, we could just sit here and see what happens, or we could just order a lift. So we did.
So I pushed you in that direction for you to explain that, because it's important for people to know, even during peak and busy times, because of the resorts that have the Skyliner, there are less frequent buses, like you said. So what's the value? Like if you got somewhere where you need to be with impending weather, or they've already stopped because of weather, it's Disney can't quickly say, let's fire up the buses and go right. I mean, because let's even think no pandemic time, but like they've already got this scheduled. It's not like they have bus drivers just sitting off on the side waiting for weather to come and say, okay, now send 6 new buses to all of these resorts. So that's why I kind of push you into that to kind of share that. So Skyliner is awesome. But think of it, if you're familiar with any type of sports weather delay, typically it's like 8 to 10 miles. If there is a lightning strike, it's like a 30 minutes that nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then, and we all know that Florida is full of multiple lightning strikes in their storms. Now, some of them go fairly quick, but it's good to know that so Lyft, Uber is going to be your better option if you're in a hurry and you're at a resort that isn't going to have as frequent buses. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I think even when we were talking about traveling in the summer, and one thing that having just been there, it is the planning. Like, if you just know what you're getting into and you have the alternatives, it's more than just ponchos. It's really taking into consideration, that these things pop up and that they pop up kind of over time, it's not just one and done. Sometimes it is. But it is being mindful of like, okay, if we can't get on the Skyliner, just what's our plan B? It's totally, you can do it. It's very easy to navigate. It's just being prepared to, do you have that option and is it time to use it?
Yeah. And it's important to talk about these storms, especially in the summer, because we know that's when most people travel, and us both getting back. There are some that blow in really quick and blow away really quick, but that's not the case with all of them. I would say that's not the case with most of them. A lot of them, they get here in a hurry and then they're either like hitting another weather system or they're colliding with another weather system that was either coming down or going up. And then you look up and it's like, the palm trees are no longer moving. You can see that. And like, now you know that like, this is going to camp out here for an hour or more because it's going to now slowly. So I don't know if you did, we experienced several of those where, you saw it coming and all of a sudden, like the trees were sideways and then the rain gets here and you look up and it's like, there's no wind whatsoever. And it, so it poured for like 40 minutes and then it went away. It wasn't like a 15-20 minute pour and the sun came right back out. So just some things to think about. The storms in Florida are just different, right? Because I mean, it's a strip of land that has a body of water on each side.
On either side.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Totally true. Yeah. Yeah. We got stuck later in the week at Disney Springs in the same situation. And we were just like, do we stay? Do we wait it out? Is this going to be one of those that's like super quick, or is this going to be for a while? Yeah, so we ended up getting home, and then the next day on our agenda was the only thing we had it booked was we had a tea time at Fantasia Gardens, which was adorable. My kids are super into. Oh my gosh, they're super into golf, and they love this show called Holy Moly. Have you seen this show? My gosh, they're obsessed with it.
And Steph Curry involved with that in some way, shape, or form? I love that. They're hilarious.
Obsessed with basketball, so anything that a basketball player. But like they'll set up these courses under our couch and around the thing, and so it was great. And the the antics. Like there was one hole where it was like a xylophone, like each key of the xylophone was a like on steps, and so the ball went up the hill and then it was ding 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 on the way down. So they just did that a few times. I was like, all right, buddies, we've got people behind us. I know. That ended up being fun. I would say there was more shade on that course than I expected there to be. There were still a couple of holes that you had to like kind of stay close to the one behind you or kind of hurry up, but there was a lot of beautiful tree coverage, and then they put like umbrellas on the holes where they're obviously
wonderful
coverage. So that was really nice because I think we had like an 11:30. It wasn't too hot, but it was getting there. And that was then we tried to go to Disney Springs, and that's when we got rained out. So we ended up back at the resort for the most of that evening and played in the pool, at the arcade. We did ping pong poolside, got snacks. It was lovely. We had a really, really good time. Awesome. I will talk I don't know if we're going to, hopefully we'll do a whole episode on these resorts, because I have a lot of feelings about Coronado Springs. We booked that resort specifically because the only way to get to any of the parks, like the regular 4 parks, is by a bus or a car. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, if we're not going anywhere, where would we want to stay? I loved this resort. Oh, wow. I loved it. I was completely surprised at how much I enjoyed being there. We were not in the Grand Destino Tower. We were in one of the casitas rooms. Mm-hmm. But we loved it. They also had this ridiculously awesome like chips and queso thing that it was in like the prepared to go at the
dang.
El Mercado market. And I'm not even going to tell you how many times we ran over there just to get chips and queso. Oh my gosh, it was so good. So the next morning is so that would have been Wednesday when we checked out. And then we went over to Fort Wilderness Campground. I had high hopes for this part. And also I was super nervous because talk about an odd transportation situation. Fort Wilderness is enormous. And we were checking out, and then we had to drive over to Fort Wilderness, where, of course, you have to get an internal bus to navigate within because it's so huge. But it ended up being awesome. We rented one kayak and one canoe, and we went around this like loop where we only saw with our eyes deer, but we were well aware that there are all sorts of wildlife in Florida. Yes. We're like, who has our oars? Like,
no armadillos?
No.
When we stayed there, like we had an armadillo that like literally came. He was in the bush next to us, came up, walked right behind us, went down into the little thing. Like it was nothing. Like it was like we weren't there. It was wild.
No. I was mostly concerned about like,
I guess,
alligators and snakes and that sort of situation. But it was fun. We had a really good time. And then the boys did. They have an archery experience, which is like an 1.5 hour long archery class. And it was hilarious. It was awesome. They loved it. They're a little bit of like perfectionists. So they would get one super close to a bullseye and then think they were experts. And then they'd get frustrated if the next one wasn't. So that was like, and of course the cast members are amazing because cast members are amazing. Yeah, and then we went from there over to Animal Kingdom Lodge and checked in. And we used our very first set of DVC points to rent this room. It was we were in Jumbo House, which was lovely. I had never been there, and it is just an extraordinary place. I have a lot of thoughts about that. I was a little unaware. It's the whole resort is reopening, I think in early August. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, but I just wasn't quite aware that there's 5 floors and only one were DVC rooms. And that was the only room. So it was just quite empty.
Yeah, it was very empty, I'm sure. So is this like Poly right now? It's only open to DVC?
Correct. Yes. Okay. And Kidani Village is all DVC. So that whole building is open.
So that's probably busier over there.
That is busier. All of the restaurants are open. And then Jumbo House only one. I didn't quite realize how it was structured, where there's one floor and all of the rooms on that floor are DVC. And then the other floors.
Right.
Yeah. So we just checked in. We're going to hang out there. My sweet aunt, my mom's sister, who lives in Tampa with my Uncle Scott. We also surprised the boys, A, that we were going to stay in Animal Kingdom Lodge, and B, that they call her greatest Aunt Sandy. She and Scott showed up. It was so fun.
Uncle Dave, but that's not going to happen.
Great. It was so cute. I stopped them because our room was like 7,000 zillion miles from the lobby. So when they texted, I was like, stay there. The boys are at the pool. Let's go say hi to them before you trek all the way to our room. And then we have to trek all the way back down. And they were like swimming across the pool. It was so sweet. Even the cast members I think one of the lifeguards was like, this looks like a grandparent reunion. I was like, basically, yeah. And then we did Sanaa mobile order. And because we were in a 1-bedroom villa, we had the kitchen with like all the plates and all the utensils. And so we just did family style. It was, it was just incredibly amazing. Yeah. Then and then the last morning we woke up, we packed up, and we drove over to Old Key West, which felt like I was so excited. So this is our home resort, and having closed and like, everything is official. We are official DVC members. It takes like months after, you make the decision in March and it's like June something is when it finally all closes. But we wanted to stop by there. We actually did check out a couple of the rooms, and we had lunch at Olivia's, which is one of the best meals I've ever had at Walt Disney World.
I saw you say that in social media. You are one of the few people that feel that way.
Well, let me tell you,
that restaurant gets a very bad rap.
It was delicious, and our server was furloughed from Victoria and Albert's, and he's like,
well, that's epic.
Have not stopped talking about how great this restaurant is. Like, yeah, I mean, he of course wants to return to Victoria and Albert's, but he's like, I just can't stop talking about how great this food is. It was delicious.
Well, maybe they stepped up their game. Maybe like since furlough and stuff, maybe they got new chefs. Who knows?
Yeah. I have I mean, we were there for one lunch, but it was delicious. And so that was just a really fun way to kind of wrap up the trip we sat outside on the patio and we were just dreaming about how many vacations we will get to have when we're there. And it was really fun. Then we hit the road and we came home. So things we did not have a chance to do. We didn't make it to the boardwalk, which is one of the things I was really wanting to take the boys and just walk around. They had just reopened those games that are right on the boardwalk where you can shoot hoops and like the little carnival games.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's like 3 booths, maybe more than that.
I won't get into my trip, but we went down there one night and had dinner. And none of that was open. Nothing really? Was. Yeah.
Maybe it's not every night. It could just be on weekends or something. I don't know.
I think it was a Wednesday night, so it was a random night.
Maybe it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was an incredible trip. We played and we felt completely immersed in the sort of Disney. I do think it made it tolerable that we know we're coming back to the parks in the fall.
Sure, yeah.
It also helped that we knew everything was a modified experience. We weren't missing fireworks, we weren't missing parades, we weren't, just because none of that was happening. Right. So, but no, I would give it 2 thumbs up. I mean, I wouldn't do that just as our only trip, but we had a really good time, and there's a lot to do and a lot of fun to have.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. I mean, Disney property in Orlando is massive. It's just massive. And they have so many. They have so many, I mean, they could put probably 10 more parks and still have tons of room left over. I mean, they knew what they were doing when Walt went down there and bought all that stuff. He just knew they have so much untapped land there. Not to say they're going to do anything. They may just want to keep it all in green space. But I mean, they have tons of land and there's so much to do with what they've created already that, like you said, you don't have to go for. And so let me ask, how long were you guys there?
We were there from Sunday to Thursday, and we arrived early Sunday, and we were there by 11 o'clock, 11:30 on Sunday, and we left at like 2 on Thursday.
Okay.
So it was a good chunk of time.
Yeah, so 5 days.
Yeah. And we even when we were at Animal Kingdom, we would walk around the grounds, and so many of the animal caretakers, I think because especially being at Jumbo House where they haven't had a lot of people to talk to, they were like, let's talk about flamingos. And we're like, okay.
Let me tell you every fact about flamingos.
Yeah, exactly. It was so great. I mean, one of my kids in particular is just an animal lover, and so he was totally into it.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we should wrap up this episode. Let's wrap it up, and then we will do a deep dive into your trip.
Yeah.
For the next one, because I want to hear all about it.
That we shall.
You hear about Margaritaville.
That's where we went, and we went to Clearwater Beach.
Whoa,
that was a highlight. So yeah, we did things a little bit differently. I don't want to ruin it. We did not fly into Orlando, and it was some strategery behind that.
Yeah.
And our kids had never seen pretty water, so we were like, let's do it.
Oh, I love that.
So it was great.
I'm laughing at like we've set up this whole show that's like this is how I travel and this is how you travel, and our first trips are like, but that's not how I did it this time.
It's completely different. Completely different. We went to Disney parks. We did go to Disney parks, but it was nowhere near the typical way that we did it. My wife wanted a vacation, and her vacation is not spelled D-I-S-N-E-Y. So
she deserves every minute of that vacation.
Yes, she deserves one without children too. Love you, girl. We will make it happen.
Oh, she is. Yeah, she deserves
an angel sent straight from heaven to deal with nothing but demons.
Love that girl.
Okay. Yeah. So next week or next episode.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
The Daniels do Orlando. Is that what we call it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We did all kinds of different stuff. I loved it. I did not want to come home. I'll leave you with this parting gift. Okay. I did not want to come home, and that had nothing to do with Disney.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Okay.
See you next show.
All right, we'll leave it there, folks. All right.
Bicycle.